Greetings, computer science enthusiasts. And today we're going to continue our practice with conditionals. So we've got 4 problems that we need to solve. And so I've just kind of gone ahead and put the problems up on the screen and we'll work through coding through them together. So problem number 1, I have 2 variables. I have a true or false variable that tells me whether or not I'm on a weekday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it will be true. Saturday, Sunday, it'll be false. And then I've also got a variable called vacation. It's also a Boolean value, true or false. Currently, I'm set during the week. It's a weekday, true, and vacation, false. I'm not on vacation. So I want to write the program that's going to print out whether I slept in or not. I sleep in every day that is not a vacation day or a weekday. So just from reading that sentence right there, I see the word or, and I think that's where I'm going to go. So I'm going to create, I'm going to use an if else because I know I'm going to be printing out something. I'll either be printing out that I slept in or I didn't sleep in. In fact, let's go ahead and put that in right now. So console.log slept in. And then console.log did not sleep in. And I might move those. I might move those around. All right, so I want to create an or statement. How do I create an or statement? Hopefully you remember that you go to the math section, you go down to these compound conditionals, and this one with the 2 vertical lines in between it represents or. So when did I sleep in? I slept in if vacation was equal to true. So up here, I can go and I can put an equal sign and I can say vacation. And then I can say is equal to true. Remember to use all lowercase when you're typing out your trues and falses. And I could say weekday is equal to false. And then otherwise, I did not sleep in. So let's go ahead and reset and run this. And sure enough, for this one, I did not sleep in because it's a weekday. So I had to get up and go to work. So there's another way that you could set this. By the way, this is false. And also I'm not on vacation is false. So vacation equals true was not true. Or weekday equals false was not true. Both ors were not true. Therefore, I didn't do this. I did this. And so it says does not sleep in. There's another way you can code this. Since these values are actually Boolean values, I can just use the variable itself. So I'm going to pull that out. And here I'm just going to put vacation. Because if vacation is true, then vacation will equal true. And then for here, instead of putting weekday equals false, I'm going to put not weekday. So we can go ahead and put in here not weekday. And then if I go ahead and run this, I did not sleep in. By the way, I can change up these values right here and run different test cases. And that's what you should do, is you should probably test it. Well, what about if I'm on vacation? If I'm on vacation, I should be sleeping in. So if I change that and reset and run it, it should say slept in. It does. So just make sure that you test for every situation. There's 4 possible different situations here that you should test for. All right. And then vacation is the same thing as vacation equals vacation, because vacation is a Boolean value. And weekday equal false is the same thing as not weekday, because weekday is a Boolean value. So I simplified that program quite a bit. All right, moving on to the next problem. So in the next problem, if the number is over 21, we want to print the absolute difference times 2. Otherwise, we want to print the absolute difference. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and use an if else because I know I'm going to be doing something. and I'm going to be doing a print in both cases. And what am I going to print? I'm going to print either the absolute difference times 2, or I'm going to print the absolute difference. So the absolute difference times 2. So the absolute difference, if the number is over 21, I guess that's what we need to go ahead and decide. We need to decide this if statement. If the number is over 21. So I'm going to go ahead and put number, because that's my variable right there, greater than 21. So if that's true, then I know the absolute difference is going to be number minus 21. So I want to go ahead and grab this subtraction, number minus 21. However, I wanted to multiply that by 2. So let me just go ahead and grab a times 2 and throw it in here and put this in there. And you can see that it maintains the order of operations because it's got parentheses around this. And so I can put 2 times the number minus 21. Probably a better way to do that would be to put that first and then put the 2 over here. I think that looks a little bit neater. So if the number is greater than 21, I want to do whatever my number is minus 21. So in the case of 23, 23 minus 21 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'll put in a different number to test it. We'll test it with exact values, one bigger and one smaller, and I'll show you a good testing procedure. Now, if that didn't work, I just want to take the absolute difference. Well, now the absolute difference, since this number is smaller than 21, the 21 needs to come before the number in subtraction. And you could do just number minus 21 and take the absolute value of that, but already knowing ahead of time what order to subtract in so that you get a positive result is, I think, the way to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this and run it. And sure enough, for problem number 2, we see the answer 4, which was exactly what I expected. If I put in 21 for my input, variable number equals 21, and I run it, I should get 0, which I do. And now if I put in, let's say put in 15, and that should give me 6. So let's reset and run with 15, and sure enough, I get 6. Excuse me. So that's the solution to problem number 2. Now let's move on to problem number 3. Problem number 3, looks like I didn't set up my variables here. For problem number 3, I have a variable called number that's equal to, so I don't need that, and I have a variable called number, and that number is equal to 103. So that's my starting variable. So if the number is within 10 of 100, I'm going to put print within. Otherwise, print the number. All right, so to be within 10 of 100, it's got to be less than either the number minus 100 or the number 100 minus the number, or you could do an absolute value. And I think this is a great time to go with an absolute value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see if the absolute value of the difference between those two is less than or equal to 10. Or it's got to be less than 10 or greater than or equal to 0. So the difference needs to be the difference needs to be less than 10 or greater than or equal to 0. All right, so I need an if else, because once again, I'm going to be printing something. All right, and so now I need the and function because I need both of these conditions to be true. So I need it to be smaller than a certain number and bigger than another certain number. All right, so let's take the absolute value of the difference between the two. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to do math absolute value. And then in math absolute value, I'm going to put a difference. And the difference is going to be number and 100. And then I'm going to do that same thing in this other block over here. However, this right here, this absolute value has to be greater than or equal to 0. So I think what I need to do is, here, let me just put this in the comments. It won't let me put that. That's all going to go away when I drop it out. All right. So I need to have the greater than or equal to 0 portion. And then I need to have the less than 10 portion. And then I'll go ahead and put that whole code that I just had to throw away. That's the disadvantage of not having text. You don't have cut and paste or ways to really easy edit this. So that's why it's better to use text. All right, so number minus 100. And you know what? Since I'm using number here, that's probably going to give me a variable. So let me do number, let me just call this num. So I don't want it to be the same variable as the other variable I used in the other problem. And then I tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to go to text real quick, and I am going to cut and paste this. All right, so I've got the absolute value of the difference, and it's either going to be greater than or equal to 0 and less than 10. So that's within a range of 10. Or if that's not true, if either one of those aren't true, then I'm going to print out something different. So otherwise, I need to print out something called within. So we're either going to print out within, or we're going to print out the difference. Otherwise, print the number. So if I don't, then I'm going to print the number. I'm either printing the number that's within the range, otherwise I'm printing the word within. So when I go ahead and reset and run this, now problem number 3 has the answer, the word within. However, if I go and change this to, say, 50, then it should print the 50. And it does. All right, so that's problem number 3. Let's finish off problem number 4. Once again, I don't know what I'm doing with my variables here. My variables should be 2 numbers, num1 and num2. So num1 is 1 variable, and num2 is another variable. The first number will set to 7. The second number will set to 10. So if the sum of the numbers is between 10 and 19, inclusive, then I'm going to print 20. Otherwise, I'm going to print the sum. You might want to make another variable that goes ahead and computes the sum. That might be pretty cool. So let's do that. Let's create a whole nother variable, and variable x is equal to, or I'm going to call this sum actually. Variable sum is equal to num1 plus num2. All right. So now I've computed that sum. I guess that's fine. I'll just leave the comments where they are. I'll tell you what, I'm going to show text real quick. I'm going to add me a little bit of space in here so that this is more up on the screen and it should be easier to see. All right, now let's go back to the blocks and let's see what we've got. So now I'm going to, either one thing or another is going to happen. So I'm going to go back to the if else. And basically, if my number is in between 10 and 19, so that's an and statement. Once again, I want both of these to be true. I want it to be bigger than or equal to 10, or and less than or equal to 19. So now I'm going to do a less than or equal to over here, and greater than or equal to over here. And this is going to be 10, and this is going to be 19, and we're using sum. So when I type in the sum there and the sum there, I've got the statement, is the sum less than or equal to 10, and is the sum less than or equal to 19. So if I just had one thing, then it could be like 100 and that would work and true. Actually, any number but the actual number itself would work. So that's why we're doing this and we're creating a range. That's probably the best way to do a range is with an and. Once again, you could have done a nested if statement, but I think this way is so much simpler. All right. So if that's true, then I want to print 20. Otherwise, I want to print the sum. So I've got two things I'm going to print out here. I'm either going to print the number, which is 20, and I don't want it to be in quotes. Let's see if I can just do a 20. And then otherwise, I want to print sum. Let's see if both of those things will let me print what I want to print. And so I'll reset and I'll run. And sure enough, since the range was in between 10 and 19, it printed out 20. What happens if the sum is 20? What should it print? So let's go ahead and change this to 10 and 10. Reset, run. It'll print 20 if the sum is 20. If the sum was, say the sum here is 4, it's going to print 4. So it's going to print the sum. So I've tested this. So that's the code. So there you have it. You have the solutions for problems 1 through 4 of lesson 3.15. I hope you found this information useful. And until next time, I want you to make sure that you keep on coding and you keep on creating.